Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 467. I am your returning host, Mr. Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Welcome back.
Carlos Romero.
Yo.
Brett Murdoch.
What up, party people?
And Brian Manjoma.
What up?
All right, man, we're back with another one. I am back as well from Vegas. Good times at CES.
Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. I'll tell you more about my adventures on the Thursday show. This is a question show. This is for the fans, you know.
But what if somebody were to ask you a question about what you did out in Las Vegas?
As long as it was related to video games, then yes, I would answer it. But it have to be video game related. So actually, we kind of have a question that is related to it. Actually, it's about the MSI Claw, which we will talk about.
Or the thing about the PlayStation car, the one you can control with the controller.
No question about the PlayStation car in here. I do want to say this. So I'm wearing this SCFU and Play shirt on purpose. I saw Torrance Davis out there, man. It's been too long.
Oh yeah,
you know.
If you by the way, guys, if you head over to the Video Game Warzone YouTube, you can actually see a really good interview with Tony, like impromptu on Davis Daily.
I believe it's also on the coalition.com. I could be wrong about that.
There is.
But yeah.
I think it might be. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I just ran into Torrance. Here's the thing. Torrance and I were already talking and stuff. We planned to meet, but on the first day of CS, just ran right into him. Like, okay. And then we started shooting the shit, literally and figuratively. So Torrance is doing good. You know, it's good to see him happy, you know.
He's looking a little trim there. Like, you know.
But again, the thing I noticed the most is how happy this guy was. I still remember 10 years ago when we were doing SAF and Play, how, like, let's just be honest, how miserable he was. Not happy, you know. Yeah. Him leaving the game industry was the best thing for him. And I think it was for me too. To be honest.
I think, you know what it is? You know, you dip in, you dip out. I think that's it. That's it. Like,
he didn't want to lose the content. I think his yearning for content creation is still there. It's just he don't want to mess with it. Anyway, I'll tell you about that later. But let's get into these questions, man. All right, Jay Shep starts us off here. Little contentious question, but you know, very interesting. Hopefully, we won't get too much into it. All right, first question here. It feels like all I've seen lately in the gaming news are layoffs and AI. It gives me anxiety, even though these two things may not be connected. Are you guys expecting any regulations regarding AI usage in the gaming industry? Can AI even be regulated in the gaming industry? They're not related. It's two different things. The layoffs and AI have nothing to do with each other. The layoffs, we discussed this before. The layoffs are happening because these companies, they thought that they could keep making 2020 money forever. You know, and now that they see that, you know, sales have dropped off, they got to lay off a bunch of people, among other things, you know, because they got to keep the profits up for the shareholders and all that bullshit.
Well, dude, it's also a symptom of a fucking sickness. Yeah. Like, because we talked about it on the last show. But like the companies will basically fire a bunch of people to trim the fat to look better for investors, and then rehire at the next project, next season, so that they can, you know, get more of a workforce. Which is manipulative bullshit and just honestly kind of fucking evil. But it has
correct. They're not kind of evil, very evil. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's very much video game companies are very much working like a lot of tech companies these days, where they're essentially they're making it look like they have a lot of growth, and then to look like they're being cost effective on the downswing, to make it look like they're still, you know, to look more mindful. They'll cut out, but they're not really hitting rock bottom. Yeah, you know what I mean.
GZR wants to know, why haven't we seen the layoffs from the Activision deal? Give it time. It'll happen.
I mean, it's already happened with Bethesda.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, Microsoft, like, you know, throughout the year, Microsoft has literally just been chopping the block. So they're all chopping the block right before you're going to see it. Like, look at it next year too, right around the fall going into the winter, you know, like through the holiday season. Watch all those layoffs, because it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
They go up and then they go down, boom, and then they come back out again. And they do that, and they're doing it within this fiscal year too. They trim the fat in this fiscal year, and then once it hits again, after I don't know what is it, March, right?
March is when the fiscal year starts. Yeah, for the next one.
That's when
Usually,
the new one starts, right? Yeah,
April.
So that's when the
April.
new one starts.
Thank you, Carlos. Yeah. And
April. So that's around April. You're going to start seeing spikes. Oh, hey, we're trying to get more, hiring up. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. As for the main part of the question, will there be any regulation toward AI usage? It's too early to tell, man. We don't know. These companies are still kind of dipping their toes. They're very excited about this, even though they themselves don't really know what this is about. Here's the thing, just real quick. I was at CES, right? CES was the AI show, right? So I talked to a lot of these companies about AI, right? And most of them, I'm just being honest, seem very excited about it, but they don't really know what's going to happen, So I think it's too early to answer this. The thing is, it would have to be self-regulated, because that's usually the way the gaming industry works. It kind of self-regulates. That's how we got the rating system, for example. But I still think it's too early to tell. I mean, Brett, you're more excited about this stuff. Actually, I'm not excited at all about it. So what's your take on this? Because I don't think we have enough information to talk about regulation yet.
Well, I mean, it depends on what kind of regulation you're talking about. There's the regulation of intellectual property. That is going on. That is a big thing that is going on. That's honestly why we keep hearing so much about that. Is we are establishing a lot of the groundwork for the legal system about how copyright works and how AI works, and how rights to things that another thing is trained on work. So we are already establishing that. Now, if we're talking about, do we harness the processing power, or some dystopia? If you're no, nobody's going to regulate and gimp the processing of AI. Otherwise, we would have already done it. The reason we're not is because, quite simply, the Chinese are also making AI. So we can shoot ourselves in the foot and, hog tie an emergent technology so that the Chinese just dominate us, but that's a great idea.
Yeah, you say the last part again, Brett? You kind of cut off.
It looks like the Chinese already taken over.
Yeah, I think they took over Brett. Shit,
Sorry, my dog started barking.
Shout out to Brett's dog.
My dog started barking. That we can't really hold back on the development of AI, because other countries are actively developing this. Because China's developing. So, as much as we want to kind of talk about, we want to pause it here until we can figure out more ethical ways to deploy it, blah, 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 blah. It's all fucking lip service, because they say that, then they don't pause development at all. So if you're talking about regulations on, if we're thinking, action movie terms, regulations on AI, how it can be used, how much power it can have, all that kind of stuff, no, they're not really doing that, because that's going to and would inherently inhibit the emergence of a developing technology. So that's not going to happen. But where we are going to regulate it is how it can make money, which seems to be the only thing our legal system really cares about most of the time.
Yeah.
I guess the answer is yes and no.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the sense I got from some of these executives I talked with. They see the concern people have, but like you said, China ain't gonna fucking stop if we do. So we're full speed ahead here. Could come ill or good. But yeah, it's too early to talk about regulation, I think. But good question though. Maybe we'll come back to it later. What's up, Carlos?
Yeah, like Brett mentioned, it just depends on what type of regulation. And like Brett also mentioned, that things are already going on. The writer strike and the actor strike took a long ass time because this whole AI stuff was a huge, bottleneck to the discussions between the studios and the people in the Actors Guild and Writers Guild. So the start of all of this, it's already been going on. To where we get to, there's still a lot more to go because it's going to get messy in the years to come. Yeah.
All right. Good question. Next up here, another one from Mr. J. Shep. Do you guys expect, this one's interesting. Do you guys expect future big title Xbox first party games to be limited to certain reviewers for early access similar to Starfield upon release. Games like Avowed, Fable, Hellblade 2, etc. Okay, so when I first saw this question, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it kind of, not no offense to you, J Shep, it sounded like some conspiracy theory craziness. But no, apparently there were some publications that didn't get the game early, like The Guardian here. They actually wrote a whole article talking about how they didn't get the game early. And then, of course, I reminded me, oh, wait, Bethesda always does this shit. They give the game, they make a lot of people wait until the game comes out. I remember the last one I remember was Doom Eternal, right? A game that was universally praised, by the way. There's nothing wrong with the game, but you had to wait if you're a reviewer. Nobody got that shit early, But apparently, in the case of Starfield, there was preferential treatment to mostly influencers. Big surprise there. So his question is, will we see that with other Bethesda games? Or actually, he's tossing in some Xbox games in general here. I can't speak about Xbox games, but the way Bethesda operates, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they'll cut motherfuckers off. They cut Kotaku off.
This isn't just a Bethesda thing. This is an industry wide issue with especially with big publishers. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but the whole thing with the leaks, the Insomniac leaks, the reason why most people didn't want to cover this was not because of ethics, is because they don't want to lose a Spider-Man review code for the next.
Yep.
So it's a cat and mouse game, man. Some people play nice, some people don't, and influencers teeter that line more than anybody, and they usually get rewarded just because they're shills.
I was just about to say that. They are. Let's just be real here.
No sugarcoating there.
Yeah. I want to say this though, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Carlos. Finish your point.
No.
I have something to add. But I do want to preface it with this because obviously the kind of subtext here is that there's some funny money stuff going on. No, it's not, right? For example, right now, my man Otaku Man 5000 Andre, they got his site got the code early for Starfield. They didn't get paid off. Tom's Guide, we got this code early. We got we're like, yo, they were like, how many codes you want? We got you, and we gave it a so-so review too, It wasn't like they knew we were going to give it a glowing review. So I think maybe they stepped away from people they knew would maybe give it a bad review. But you can still tell they definitely favored influencers because, and I've said this a million times on the show, if you are a video game company, who would you prefer to give a code to? An influencer that is going to be hyped as fuck and push your shit out and just hype it to high hell, or a journalist whose job it is to be critical of your shit. Like if I was a game company, I wouldn't even be messing with journalists. I'm a journalist. I'm saying that, so it makes sense they're doing that. But there's no really anything funny. I mean, it is funny in that sense, but like Carlos said, this happens all the time with all the publishers. They always give preferential treatment to people in general,
The thing about it is, and the thing that a lot of people don't seem to a lot of these people don't seem to talk about is most definitely, doing business with influencers means that they can somewhat control the narrative of what's going to happen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, I mean, and we always hear about they paid off so and so. I'm like, yo. Who's really getting paid off? They may not be getting paid off with real legitimate money, but
sometimes are. And that's what not to derail the conversation. That's what frustrates me to high hell. Right? Journalists are accused of being paid off all the time. We're not. Yet influencers who actually are paid off, they're a more trusted source to some gamers. What? Doesn't make any fucking. They're legitimately paid off in some cases. Right? Yeah. I mean, if a journalist were to be, if it found out that they were paid off, they would be fired and their publication would just be tarnished. It's insane.
Yeah, there's a thing called journalistic integrity. Yeah, right?
That doesn't exist for influencers.
We always talk about that, but that doesn't exist for influencers. You see all that shit happening all over, so all the fucked up craziness that they do all over that stuff, and there's no checks and balances for them.
Yeah, and think about it, every single time there's been an instance where some corruption has been going on, like Gamergate, that shit gets called the fuck out. Because that's as a journalist, you're supposed to have some kind of standards, right? I'm not saying everybody has standards, but the whole payola shit does not fucking happen. And if it does happen, it gets exposed quick, unlike these fucking influencers. But going back to the other thing, yeah, some companies obviously do play favorites because, they want good coverage at the end of the day, and it's very easy to get that good coverage from an influencer, all right. Anybody else have anything that you want to add to that?
I'm not going to call out any names, but during a certain Cyberpunk game, and some influencers that are very well known for calling out, certain types of shit, all of a sudden gave these sort of level-headed reviews, and then all of a sudden did another review later, reevaluating what they said.
Yeah. I'm not
saying a person can't, and they supposedly changed. They supposedly played the whole game through, all the way through. So all of a sudden now, what happened?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, I think I know which influencer you're talking about, a certain voice actor, but I'm not going to get into that, all right, let's move on. I think it was pretty obvious what I'm talking about, work on your voice acting, bro. All right, next up here, we got Mob Hits, who's also in the chat tonight. All right, with Hellblade 2, Avowed, and maybe Indiana Jones coming out this year, and the fact that this year's Call of Duty will specifically be marketed by Xbox along with anything else they might announce, is Xbox about to have the best year it's had in a long time? I hope so. I hope so. It's about fucking time.
How many times have we had this conversation?
I know, man. But like Brett did point out the last time we talked about this. Yeah, you could, at least we have evidence to support this. But again, we will see. We'll see. Well,
it's also like an easy thing to say when you've had a string of bad years. Man.
Yeah.
So it'll be better.
It's like technically. Yeah, maybe. Although, like, I would say, like, I feel like this year's actually been pretty good for Xbox. Like, Starfield, it's such a mixed thing. Like, I was shocked how many hours I put into it. It's one of those like, it's fine. It's good. It's not good for a Bethesda game, which is a weird place to fucking be, but it's fine. But they're not in a bad place, and they're off. Set up to be in a slightly better place next year, so like I guess the statement
Brett,
seems technically true.
I'm sorry, I got to cut you off. I got to be that guy. I got to adjust my nerd glasses here. By this year, by this year, you said Xbox had a good year this year. By you mean last couple of months? Because you realize what today's date is, right?
I meant last year.
Listen, it fucked me up last week too. Like, oh yeah, 2024 now. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, bro.
They did have a 2023, a bad 2023. Technically, 2024 seems like it might be a little more bumping. So technically, that statement is true, but like it also feels false. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. Xbox has been stable in 2023. Says Otaku Man.
And that's progress, but that's progress. Like
that is progress,
Oh, I mean, we're talking about a company that was getting like trounced by the Switch here. Like, so like, again, y'all think I'm a fucking fanboy, but really it's just one of those like, oh look, it's like, it's back to health. It's like, it's not the healthiest thing ever, but it had like, it was hit by a truck and mangled, and its guts were on the outside. Like, it's the progress that they've made with Xbox. Like, fucking lot, man. It's a fucking lot. Insofar as that maybe one day, possibly, if this keeps up, potentially, it could even compete with PlayStation. Now, I know the statement I just said, and I know what people are going to hear, which is Xbox is way better than PlayStation. I didn't say that. Go back and listen to the tape, but like, man, if this keeps up, they could start to be enough of a threat that they could force Sony to adjust its business. And in doing so, that, in my opinion, is a console war that kind of benefits consumers. When you start having to vie for the attention of the consumer and fight for it instead of just like having it by default, usually consumers win on that point.
Hey, Brett, got a comment here from GZDR that I specifically want you to address.
So
even though he put it towards me, I think you're better suited to answer this. He goes, define good year. If Microsoft releases 5 games, but they all score between 75 and 80, they are going to get roasted. If they get 20 million players, but 2 million sales, they will get roasted. If none of them make game of the year, they will get roasted.
I mean, Xbox is going to be but here's the thing again, we've talked about this, like, that's kind of, and maybe we're using it wrong, the Xbox tax, like, it's a bias that they have to overcome because they dug that hole themselves. So, like, yes, it is both a bias and a recognized bias, but, like, it's one that we kind of have, like, Microsoft is going to have to prove themselves. They fucked up pretty spectacularly. That being said, they've adjusted a lot of their upper echelon. They've changed the way that they're doing business. They've fundamentally changed the way a lot of gaming works kind of with Game Pass. Like, so I'm of the mindset it's a Theseus' ship kind of situation. Like, at which point is it no longer his old ship? Mm-hmm. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know
right?
exactly what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay, so, like, at which point, like, is it no longer the old ship? At which point is it no longer that Microsoft? And I feel like that's why it's easier to define better instead of good. Like, we can concretely demonstrate better and a positive upward trend. Good is so ambiguous, and there's so many haters. Like, here's the thing: I'm straight up like calling out the haters. Like, I'm not even going to be ambiguous about it. Like, PlayStation fans seem super threatened by the Xbox, more and more so. And the point, like, I feel like their arguments against it are getting, like, kind of dumber and dumber. But that fact alone, I think, speaks more to me than anything else. Because before it was just like, pithy, hand wave a wave, it's fucking Microsoft. What the fuck are they going to do? So, like, the fact that people are starting to be like, well, no, here's 9 reasons why Microsoft sucks. Like, why are you taking the time out of your day, bro? Something got you feeling a little uneasy? So, but again, like, I don't understand that, because even as like a primary Sony fan, like, my PlayStation experience is just set to get better with healthy competition. So, sorry to kind of roll back at that tirade. The answer to the question is really, that's why better isn't, or best/good isn't really a good way to mark things. We have to look at better. And if they're looking to have a better year, or even like maybe like the best one of several years, like, technically that's true. But again, that's a low bar to clear. I don't really know if we need to be celebrating, like, look, like, it's like a friend who got hit by a truck. Like, do we need to celebrate every step they take to recovery, or can we just kind of like be like, okay, they seem to be healthy and stable now. We're going to check back in when they're, doing well again. Like, Microsoft has a ways to go, and I don't think that they're going to prove themselves this year. Does that mean they're going to have a bad year? What's that?
In 2024, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that they're going to prove themselves in 2024. It's going to take more than a 2024 to convince anybody. But, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. If you release several decent games this year and show us news about more stuff coming, that when we get to this point next year, 2025 is going to be looking much better, and people will have more confidence. And you're just going to have to build it up slow like that. There's not going to be a big trigger moment where everybody just goes, fuck yeah, Xbox. It's going to be about slowly building confidence and numbers. And now that they're profitable, they can do that. It's not a race. So I think that's kind of where they stand. So unfortunately, it's super unsatisfying, but we kind of got to look at where they've been, where they're going, the kind of progress they're making, the whole shenanigan, or the whole big, what's the word thing? Kit and caboodle. There we go. The whole big kit and caboodle. So, yeah, we can measure progress, can we? Like, we can all agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because you're seeing the pieces kind of coming together. But you bring up a good point about how we're not going to see that, like, nuclear detonation moment, which is also, I guess that's just human instinct. That's what you want, right? But you're probably right. It's probably not going to happen. I hate to use it this way, but the Xbox tax is real. Xbox will always be hardcore scrutinized. But if you have, like, a bunch of good, solid years under your belt, it's like compound interest, keeps going and going and going. And before you know it, it's like, oh, Xbox is, like, respected again. But I think you're right that we're not going to have a singular moment when that's going to happen. like it. I know that's boring as fuck, but it's just how it is. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we get so few of those. Like, what would that even look like?
Yeah. No, but you're right. Xbox could legitimately drop a 10 out of 10 fucking masterpiece. People be like, okay, what about all the other fucking years we had to deal with? People, you know that's going to happen. Yeah.
Bro, people, and respectfully, I'm pretty sure even you would be like, okay, that's one.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely would. One. And I've said this before, and again, I'm so glad we have this podcast. 3 games in a row, unequivocal success, and by success I mean money success, and got to be good games too. Then I'll be like, okay, Xbox, you got your shit together, you know. But everybody has different definition of success. But either way, I agree with you. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna be like like a jog. It's not even gonna be a fucking race, a brisk jog, I want to read this comment. This one's kind of at you as well. Brett is substituting competition with buying studios. Competition is you make this, we make this, and see how it goes. If Microsoft and Sony had $69 billion and you let Microsoft buy first and Sony buy second, I don't think Microsoft's first choice would be Activision Blizzard, knowing Sony could take away GTA.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, we're talking about market competition. Like, yes, you absolutely can buy. Like, that is a thing that has happened in economics forever. It's the reason a hostile takeover is even a term. But I get what you're saying, and the spirit of what you're saying is absolutely correct. Like, Microsoft can't just buy. Even if they could, they're going to face the ire of the consumers, of such as yourself. Like, they haven't earned your good graces. Just because they bought things that you like doesn't mean that you trust or appreciate them. And it's not going to. That's why we've all kind of, I think, pretty much agreed. Like, they have to produce in order. Like, they have to earn back everybody's respect. Like, we all agree with that, right? Like, we're all on the same page. Because I'm not arguing. Like, I know the vibe that you're going for, and I'm not disagreeing with it. But strictly speaking, like, are they a competitive company if they say buy up all the manufacturing means and throttle their competition to the point where their competition can't technically make a product? Is that true competition? In capitalism, yes.
Yep. All right.
That's how capitalism works. And I'm not a fan of that aspect. I'm not saying you should be either. But in a more abstract sense, that they have to earn your respect. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, moving on here. Another one from Mr. Mob Hits. I've heard Tony mention that buying the PlayStation Portal wouldn't be worth it to him since you can't use it outside your home, even though I've seen videos of people on planes, in a car, at work, etc., playing remotely. I, for one, will be buying one soon when it becomes available. Would the PlayStation Portal become the ultimate portable handheld if PlayStation Plus was available on it? All right, let's go down to some things, because I'm seeing kind of some conflicting stuff, right? I could not get this thing to work outside my house. Our reviewer, a Tom's Guide, also could not get it. And it's confused me because I'm like, you could use Remote Play on your iPad. You could use it with the Backbone Plus or whatever. Why doesn't it work on the PlayStation thing? So if I'm wrong, I will absolutely admit it. But I can't get PlayStation Remote Play to run on this thing outside my Wi-Fi network. Doesn't work. I've tried. I assumed it was just work like everything else does, but it can't. Again, if I will look at these videos myself, see if there's a trick or maybe I'm doing something wrong. But either way, even if that was the case, right? I'm speaking just for myself right now, it would still be a waste of time. Like, it just, like, I don't want to use a streaming device outdoors. I don't even want to use it indoors, to stream a game. I'd rather play locally. That's why we have a Steam Deck, So that's for me personally. But I also understand why guys like Frankie B, why he likes it. He's got the game running up on, like, he has PlayStation in his living room and shit. People watching TV. I think he has a family and stuff. He's downstairs in the basement chilling, Remote Play, cool, whatever, fine. But here's the thing. And here's my question. So if this thing, it is a Remote Play thing, PlayStation Plus should work on it as long as you're streaming it off your PlayStation, correct? Or am I wrong about that? I don't have PlayStation Plus. So I can't test this. I guess nobody has the answer to this.
I don't have PlayStation Plus or the streaming service.
Yeah, but Brian, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, if you could access PlayStation Plus on your PlayStation 5, shouldn't you also be able to do the same thing on the PS Portal since it's just a streaming device that's connected to your PlayStation 5?
Oh, this is funny. Yes, but Sony says no.
Jesus. Are you serious?
See,
so what happens? I'm asking you because I honestly don't. So what happens if you click on PlayStation Plus on this device? What, again, you're streaming your PlayStation with your PlayStation feed is showing. It's showing up on this device. So if you click on PlayStation Plus, what happens?
I don't know, but that is what I heard, that you can't do that. And I was like, okay, that's pretty stupid. And then I remembered that a certain someone had an issue with controllers and a certain console, and people were saying, oh no, Brian, that's just ridiculous. And here we are. It's like, well, it's almost like you having a controller for the same console that somehow can't work for the same games for some odd reason because Sony says no. It's like, okay, fine,
Yeah, so, Blitz, that's what I'm saying. It's supposed to mirror what happens on your PlayStation, but as Brian said, and as Mob Hits also just said too, you can't use PlayStation Plus on this thing.
Is it a bandwidth thing? I mean, you're streaming, your PlayStation is streaming.
Doesn't make any sense.
To the device, and then maybe it's having issues because it's trying to stream to that. I don't know. I've never tried it, and I honestly, it seems like a scenario I would never try.
Yeah.
So I like Brian, I don't know, but
I don't have PlayStation
I wouldn't be
Plus.
surprised.
I can't test it.
I mean,
Mob Hit says it's not a bandwidth problem. So what the fuck's the problem? What the fuck's the problem?
I mean,
Sony just says no.
Yeah, Sony is kind of weird with that because you remember when I was trying to test remote play on my iPad, it wasn't working. I was like, "What? It's right. It's in the same room as my PlayStation. I'm just testing this out. It wasn't working. You know why it wasn't working? Because I didn't have a PlayStation controller connected to my iPad. It hated it. I connected my Xbox controller to it, and it wouldn't work. And then I'm like, oh. Let me test out with my PlayStation, my DualSense, connected my DualSense, and it started working.
What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense.
It's
I don't know. So I guess the harder question is, would this thing actually, the PlayStation Portal, would this thing actually be good if you could play PlayStation Plus on it?
I mean, it would make it do more things because it currently can do like one thing. So it'll increase its output in things it can do by double.
Yeah, but again, I really want to look into this whole playing it remotely, like outside, because again, I was like, that day I was hyped too. I'm like, oh shit, take this to the office, gonna test this out. I made sure my PlayStation was in sleep mode. Nothing, didn't fucking work. And again, even our reviewers like, yo, I couldn't get this shit to work. So hence why we gave, among other reasons, why we gave it a 2 out of 5. Yeah, Blitz, you're right. Remote play works on a fucking Steam Deck. I didn't have any problems using that. Fuck out of here, man. J Shep, let's go Lions. I'm guessing that's a football thing.
Yeah, they just won right now. It's the playoffs.
Okay, is that okay? That because I'm like, why is Twitter going crazy about fucking football tonight? So I was like, the Super Bowl must be coming soon.
It's getting closer.
Yeah, you could tell how knowledgeable I am on football. All right, so this thing, nah. For some use cases, sure, but nah. No, it's no good.
No bueno.
No bueno. All right, moving on. Toon Medic. He just called himself Toon. Our boy, Mr. Michael Santiago. What's going on, brother? All right. His question is, what game do you think will win the Xbox Direct? So apparently the Xbox Direct is happening, right? It's like official. It's not like fake.
It's next week too.
Yeah. Oh shit, what day?
Yep. The 18th. That's on Thursday, I think.
Crazy. Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Throwdown, baby. Yeah. Won a playoff game for the first time in 32 years. The Lions, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since 91.
What the fuck was I even talking about? Oh yeah, Xbox
the
Direct.
Direct.
Oh yeah. So did they give any inclination of what games are going to be shown?
They gave you
Yeah,
an exact list of the games they're going to show.
Ooh, fancy.
Yep.
Again, people, I was away at CES, so I don't know any of this stuff. Let me look this up.
Yeah, one of them was the new Indiana Jones game, by the way.
Okay. Let's look this up. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. Should be in news, right? Okay, here we go. Returning January 18th. Right, here are the games. Indiana Jones, Avowed, Ara History Untold, Senua's Sacrifice, or Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. So the question was, which game will win the Direct? Hopefully Senua's Sacrifice 2, you know?
Yeah.
Nah, it'll be totally Indiana Jones.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, it's gonna be Hellblade. It's got to be Hellblade.
Yeah. It's going to be Hellblade. I think Hellblade. That's probably going to be the showstopper. I think the reason it's last on this list is probably why. I wonder if this is in order, too, where they're going to show it. It may kind of make sense. Indiana Jones, Avowed. What about Avowed, Brett? Aren't you kind of excited for that?
You know, I have a fear that Avowed is not going to do well. Not because it's not necessarily a good game, but because it's the comparison to Skyrim is almost problematic. Like there's going to be no way that you can't not see this as a game like Skyrim, but they have said themselves this is not a game like Skyrim. They started off as a Skyrim clone, and then they kind of went, yeah, we can't do the kind of depth that Bethesda can do. Like we can't. And so they scaled it back to be a more streamlined kind of thing, which means that like there are probably a lot of people who really like it, you know, like you'll probably like it more than Skyrim kind of thing. Probably maybe a strong word there. But, you know, like for people who like streamlined cinematic games, this may be the adjustment that they've wanted. But it's just going to be really hard not to be like, oh, it's a shitty Skyrim. Even if it's not.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned. And, you know, it's because their sci-fi game is like, it was... I wanted to like it.
Outer Worlds, right?
Yeah. Like,
yeah, I got bored of that too, to be honest.
Controversial statement. Starfield's better than Outer Worlds.
Yeah, right.
I didn't play Outer Worlds. I can't.
I reviewed it. I got bored after a while. Like 20 hours in, I played enough for the review. I'm good. I don't need to play this anymore. Blitz goes, isn't it meant to be another Outer World style game in that it's smaller, shorter? Yeah, that's probably what it's going to be.
Yep,
so what Brett's point is correct. Is people are going to go, oh, this is a GIMP Skyrim or something.
Even if it's good.
Yeah, even if it's good, yeah.
I mean, the whole hype behind a lot of about this is they made New Vegas right after Fallout 3, and it was a huge success. And now they're working on another Western RPG that's like another Bethesda type game. You know, a fantasy Western RPG with Avowed, and that's why all the comparisons are taking place for the most part. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, we barely have heard anything about this game other than that intro trailer that we saw years ago. So we'll see what gets showed. It's gonna be cool because we're finally gonna get some more news on this game.
Yeah. GCR asked another question here. What game do you guys think is the first party that is going multi-plat? Many think it's Hi-Fi Rush. I think it's Sunset Overdrive. Makes sense considering Insomniac won't make a sequel if Microsoft has exclusive rights to the next two games.
I don't know about that.
I thought Insomniac kept the rights to that.
That's what I thought too.
They still have the rights to it. Yeah,
I believe so.
They got the rights to it.
Yeah, it could be wrong, but I believe that's the case, that they have the rights to it. All right. Next question is also kind of related. Okay. I don't know if you guys answered a question from this guy because I've never seen his name before. Go Po.
Sounds like a new name.
Sounds like a new name. Welcome to Throwdown, man. Good stuff. Welcome. Go Po. Interesting name. All right. What do you think of PlayStation games going full third party? I don't understand the question exactly. What do you think of it happening or the possibility?
Yeah. What do we think the possibility of it happening?
I guess the question's connotation is most Sony first party, the big ones, the first party games eventually go to PC, so like they kind of go third party.
Yeah.
But this is like full third party.
Well, it's not.
Yeah. The chances of that happening are very slim. They're not going to put there are some guy, because I know motherfuckers going to come in. What about MLB The Show? Yes, I get that, but for the most case, you're not going to see Horizon Forbidden Dawn 3 Xbox on an Xbox. You know.
The difference between MLB The Show is it's a license, and then the license holder told them they want this to be on other consoles.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because people just like, oh, that's a Sony game. Like, get the license for it, dude.
It's a license. It's a game. It's yes. The baseball game is a Sony game, but the MLB license belongs to the MLB, and they grant that license to Sony. And if they say, hey, why the fuck isn't this on Xbox and Nintendo and everything else under the sun? What are we paying for? That's why.
Yeah.
It's like,
go ahead.
The only thing that would be kind of similar is if Marvel is telling Sony to make the Wolverine game multiplat, and that's the only way that they'll be able to make it.
Yeah. But like I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, but I in general, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think you're going to see Sony games on Nintendo Switch 2 or something. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think the PC situation works out for them because it at least allows them to connect to catch a little bit more money after the fact when their games are when the games have already run their course.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, like there are a few Xbox games that essentially made their way over. Cuphead did make its way over to PlayStation and Nintendo. So.
Yeah, but that's not a first party game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a first party funded game, but I don't think it was a first party game, specifically. I don't think they have the same situation as Ori, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, but both Ori and Studio MHDR are independent studios. I remember how the funding was with Microsoft, but yeah, those seem just like Microsoft funded it, made it exclusive, and then but I don't think it was anything other than making it exclusive for some substantial amount of time.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't see PlayStation doing that. By the way, because we got time here, did you guys see what happened at Sony's press conference at CES? There's something very interesting happened.
You mean the Gravity Rush development film?
No, I'm not talking about that.
The car?
I'm talking about the fact that Sony was hyping up a Legend of Zelda movie. Think about that. Sony, Nintendo have been enemies for 30 years. Are we seeing things changing here? Very interesting.
I mean, it's probably because Sony Sony Pictures, I guess, has the rights to make a Zelda movie.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. But again, if you're a gamer, you're like, wait, hold on. We still have memories of the Nintendo PlayStation and all that, or the Super Nintendo CD, all that shit. And it's a bitter rivalry between the two. Like, Chris has told us this story many times, how when he worked for Nintendo, they wouldn't even buy Sony TVs. That's how much they hated them. They bought more expensive TVs in bulk than buying PlayStation. You couldn't even mention PlayStation Portable in the Nintendo office. Like, you would get chastised for it. This isn't rumored. This is shit Chris told us that he saw himself. So that's how deep that hatred goes, or rivalry, I should say. It's some like old school samurai code shit, So I'm wondering if I'm not wondering. It's just very interesting to me, and for gamers in general,
I mean, to be honest, like they have Sony has had with their they did a couple of things. They have the Spider-Verse film, and they have a couple other things. Sony Pictures. So maybe with the bidding came along, of what companies that wanted to bid for the franchise. Sony just had the most interesting one,
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, on a big level, it's like, oh, Sony makes movies. Why wouldn't they do this? So on that sense, no biggie. But again, if you're a gamer, you're like, oh, that's interesting, considering the rivalry these guys have had for 30 years, So who knows? But yeah, I just find that very, very interesting. All right. Next up here, another one from Mr. Gogol Poe. Will the console war ever end? War never changes until you buy Activision Blizzard. That's fun. No, you're never going to see the end of it, man. It's always going to go on. As long as there are consoles, there will always be a console war.
People are always going to champion. People are always going to champion the thing that they got.
Yep.
It's always going to happen that way, and they're always going to look for little reasonings, and it's never going to be any different. Although I would say the console war nowadays is full of more petty bullshit than I would say previously. Like as the years have gone on,
it's gotten worse. It's gotten worse.
It's gotten worse. Where like people just making up shit just to fuck with people, just because they want to say it.
Yep. Brett, were you gonna say, man?
Oh, just that it's barely going like. There's fanboys flaming each other, but I would argue the console war has been out of the game for at least a few years.
Yeah, the actual war itself, that's Sony has won that shit decades ago. But I think he's really more referring to the console fanboy wars. That'll always rage, as long as there are consoles, that shit will rage. It's just how it is. Motherfucker, I'm not going to get to it, but that's never going to end. That's just how it is. Social media has made it worse. Yeah, I agree with that.
Blitz. I would say so because it's social media is
weak
not
soldiers. A good one, Otaku man.
I would say like that, like as a place like the X or Twitter or whatever the fuck you want to call it is not the place to have those sorts of conversations, right?
It's not a place to have any conversations.
You can't have a nuanced conversation about things, and then obviously when people are just talking out, nobody's listening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, again, because people aren't there to have discussions. They're there to yell their point and get their point. Exactly. That's it. That's all they care about.
Exactly.
It's just a bunch of fuckwits bickering. Yep. That's exactly what it is, Blitz. Exactly what it is. So, yeah, war will never change. Console war never change.
The thing is, it has changed. The problem is that it's gotten
worse. Yeah. Because you're right. Because back in the day, we would talk shit about the rival console and then go to our friend's house and still play on that console. We would still play on it. But now these guys are like religious zealots. It's like, no, I will not even look at these games. They won't even mention anything good on it. If you were to ask a hardcore PlayStation guy, say one good thing about Xbox and vice versa, they wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't do it. They would have something in the back of their mind, but they won't admit it because they want to keep that facade up. It's really fucking crazy, man. Philly Fred, what's up? All right. And the last question of the night. Mr. Romudeth, very charitable guy, is sponsoring one of J Shep's extra questions. All right. What do you guys think of the MSI Claw? So the MSI Claw, we were 8 days into the fucking year. And MSI's like, we got a handheld, In case you didn't know, I not only wrote my hands-on it, but I also did a video. But before I give my little spiel on it, did you guys see the MSI Claw, and what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, and here's the thing. I know, Tony, you're in the weeds. You need to know all this stuff. For me, and I guess I know from looking at Manny's reaction, same thing with him. It's like it's just another one of these things, these Steam Deck clones. But I didn't see what differentiated this a lot from others. But I also didn't really pay that much attention to it, to be fair.
Yeah. Brian, did you see anything about the Claw?
Nope. I'm guessing that's just another Steam Deck clone, as Carlos says. So I don't care, honestly. It's like
with Windows.
Steam Deck, unfortunately, it's really popular and it works really well. But yet everyone seems to be like, hey, let's get our handheld out and have it run Windows. And it's like, and people just don't like that. And yet somehow they keep doing that. I don't know. It's it just seems like that these companies don't understand what people are actually wanting, and rather just pushing stuff out because their competitor also did the same thing. So it's kind of like a weird, like, just everyone copying the next door neighbor who just happens to copy their next door neighbor without knowing why. So, oh yeah, they're doing it, so we'll do it. So I don't think until they do a proper Steam Deck alternative, i.e. some sort of operating system that's Linux-based that actually works well with games, I just don't see any of these being a thing. You know, again, it can be as powerful as all hell, but if it's attached to Windows, you'll have the Windows problems.
Yeah. And Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the Intel-based.
That's the thing that makes this different than the other ones. But before I get to that, just a little fun inside story. So I met with MSI about 3 weeks or 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks before CES. Right, it was 3 weeks just to check out their laptops. You know, ROG laptops and all this other stuff, prestige laptops, and we didn't even bring up me. You know, I was there with my colleague. We didn't even bring up the subject of handhelds. Didn't bring it up at all. And they asked us, "Hey, do you guys like systems like the ROG Ally and Steam Deck?" Like, yeah, we do. Like, why? You got something? Right? You know, stay tuned. And again, this is unprovoked. We were just there to see laptops, right? So I'm like, okay, these motherfuckers gonna have something, you know. And surely enough, a couple of days before. By the way, you think video games are leaky? The tech industry is way more fucking leaky. This shit got leaked. You know, the MSI Claw. But yeah, you know, when I was looking at the spec sheet, the thing that stood out to me the most is that this is running on the Meteor Lake processor, Intel Core Ultra, right? The new AI chip. Which is different because all the other ones, you know, the other major ones that we've seen are, you know, running on AMD, right? Steam Deck, ROG Ally, and the Lenovo Legion Go all running on some, you know, AMD APU. This is running on Intel. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And obviously, we're not going to know until we test the shit ourselves to see if the chip, you know, not only like makes games run better, but also better battery life. Here's one thing that they said, which I found interesting. They were boasting about the fact that you get 2 hours. They said we tested Forza Horizon 5 and the game ran for 2 hours before the battery ran out. I'm like, 2 hours is the same battery life as a Steam Deck and every other handheld I played. That's not really anything to boast of. It's literally the same. You know, it's like, what, 10 minutes more? You know, so I don't know about that. But I'm curious to see if that chip will actually make a difference, because one of my biggest disappointments with literally everything besides the Steam Deck has been the performance. It's like, okay, on paper, the Lenovo, the fucking ROG, all these things are more powerful than the Steam Deck on paper, right? But since games aren't optimized for, you know, because they have like custom AMD chips, the games don't really run that well, right? Unless you drop them down to 720p, and that kind of defeats the purpose. I'm like, okay, so you have a fucking 1080p screen on the ROG Ally and like a 2.5K display on the Lenovo, but you try to run them at native resolution. The games run like shit, you know? So that's one of my concerns. And like Brian said, Windows 11 is not really optimized for handheld controls. You know, that's another problem. It's like you need a UI, you know, operating system that's tailor-made for those controls. I would love it if I turn this thing on, go through the boot up section, and I don't even see any Windows shit. You know, like you have to go through the whole Windows setup process to get these machines going. And it does have its own UI. It's called the MSI Command Center M. It looks good. You know, I only got to play around a little bit, but I'm like, okay, well, this thing, you know, the launcher, will it just automatically launch? I don't want to see the fucking Windows desktop when I boot this shit up. That's my problem with all these other systems, right? So that question's up in the air. But again, just like with Asus and Lenovo, at least this is a manufacturer that makes gaming hardware, right? It's not like, I'm sorry, Neo, I know you've been doing this shit for a while, but nobody knows who the fuck you are. You probably don't even know who you are, you know? So at least this is a company people have heard of. But I suspect this is going to end up like the other ones I mentioned, the Lenovo and the Asus, where it's like, this is good, but the Steam Deck's still better. I think it's going to be just like that at the end of the day. As for what it's like, to me, it looks like an RG Ally just painted black. Like that's what it looks like. Like even the back buttons kind of feels into like nubs and shit. They claim there's some like advanced cooling technology. I hear this shit all the time from laptop manufacturers. It never amounts to anything, you know. But it does feel nice. Big buttons. The screen is nice. It's 7-inch, 1080p. Just like the Steam Deck. Well, Steam Deck is 720p, but 7 inches. And yeah, it looks cool. But again, I'm curious to see how it actually performs. I want to see, because again, all at CES, I was just the Meteor Lake chip was just thrown in my face. Oh, power efficient AI, blah, 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 all this shit. I'm like, cool. I need to test this stuff first. I want to see if it's actually going to make a difference.
He's like AI, blah, 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 but can it play some games?
Yeah. But we've seen some quote unquote AI laptops. Actually, a lot of them are, and again, they claim it's going to be good for gaming in the sense that, let's just say if you are like playing, you're streaming a game, right? Instead of the CPU and the GPU having to handle not only the streaming but also the OBS and the camera, you could have the camera and OBS being handled by the NPU in the chip, the neural processing unit, and then have the GPU and the CPU handle the game. Cool. But I need to test this shit myself. But as for the Claw, again, I knew this was going to happen. I knew more and more people were going to get into it. And I even talked to Asus when I went to check them out. And they said, I asked them, like, yo, how well did this thing sell, the Ally? Again, this is what they told me. Take it how you will. They said it sold better than they expected. They had a certain number they thought they were going to sell. It sold more than that. And anecdotally, I could kind of believe them because I know a lot of people who are just regular gamers, not in the industry, that own the Ally. Which I was kind of surprised by that. It's like most people seem to have the Steam Deck and then the Ally's the second one. Also, the price of this guy is $699, just like the Ally and the Lenovo starting price. I think it goes up to like $799 for 1 terabyte. I believe. I know the prices are $699, $749, and $799. I think you could upgrade from Intel Core Ultra 5 to 7, but it's not too much. You still get the same screen and everything. But I will obviously be reviewing it. This thing's coming out Q2, so because I'm pretty much Tom's guy, designated handheld guy, like for obvious fucking reasons. So should be interesting. So yeah, if you got any questions, you guys here in the panel, shoot them at me. I'll try to answer them. Embargo's already lifted, so I could talk about it all I want. What's up?
What's the release date for this?
Q2. I don't know. It's Q2. That's all I was told.
Interesting. Yeah, so you probably won't get your hands on it like for review for a couple of months.
Yeah, it's gonna be a while. Yeah, it's gonna be a hot while. Q2, because Q2 starts in April, right? Yeah, April, May, June. That's Q2, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Carlos.
Yeah, and I think
yeah.
So it's January, February, March, and then April, May, June.
Yeah. So in that window, yeah.
Yeah. So you bring up a good point with the whole thing with the handheld stuff because during New Year's I was with family and my brother-in-law just started talking about the ROG Ally, and I'm like, he doesn't play video games or anything like that. So I just found it surprising that he even knew about it.
You know what it is, Carlos? I just realized that. You know why? Because ROG Ally sold in Best Buy. That's why.
So it's got that. So that's why they removed all the video games so you can make space for that.
Yeah, right. But again, it's interesting. It's like you're selling the ROG Ally in Best Buy, and I believe this is also going to be sold at Best Buy as well. But it's like it's really a handheld for more enthusiast guys like us that know our way around shit. It's like it's not like a Steam Deck is way easier to use than this shit. As a matter of fact, I remember when I was testing. Because I had already tested the Ally and the Legion Go, and then I got my hands on the Steam Deck OLED, right? So I'm there, going through the menus, pressing the screen, buttons on the screen. I'm like, touch controls. I'm like, oh wait, I don't need to use touch controls. I could use the buttons because I got so used to it with the other ones because the fucking buttons wouldn't always work, Windows 11, but because it's also Windows 11, you could do more shit with it, Oh yes, I did hear that there is a handheld or handhelds that are letting that are going to have Steam OS. Did you guys talk about that?
No, that I didn't see that news.
That would be cool. I saw that just briefly. I don't know if it's a specific handheld or if it's just going to be all together, because that'd be cool. Obviously you could run Steam. You could play Steam games on these other consoles, but it's not running Steam OS. Aya Neo, yeah, that's what. Thank you, Felicia. It was the new Aya Neo that's coming out. You could run Steam OS on it.
So this is their way to do what they tried to do a couple of years ago with the Steam machines. Now they're just Steam Deck machines.
Yeah, that's right. Aya Neo. Here's the thing. I reviewed not reviewed, but I tested the Aya Neo 2S. I thought it was pretty good for the most part. It's just the fun when you update the launcher, it fucking reverts to Chinese. You can't even read the shit. Oh man. So I'm like, can you please fix that part?
By the way, I talked to Adam today.
Oh, the Claw.
No. I was talking about it to him and Rich about Prince of Persia, right?
Yeah.
Because it's about to come out. And I'm like, yo, I don't see this thing on Steam. And they're like, I thought this was on PC. He's like, oh, you gotta get the Uplay. You gotta get the
Uplay.
The Uplay and the other one. And I'm like, God damn it, I want to play this on my Steam Deck. And Adam, for 2 seconds later, you can install the Uplay on the Steam Deck.
Of course. Adam, man. But yeah, that's all I got to say about the MSI Claw. I'm excited, but I kind of nerd out about these handhelds, so that's pretty obvious, But generally, I don't disagree with you guys' sentiment that it's like, oh, here's another one, Because that was my reaction to it at the beginning. I'm like, oh, here's another one. But when they said, oh, we got the Meteor Lake chip, I'm like, oh, okay, you got my attention now, But but again, that stands to be seen whether that makes an appreciable difference or not, But I think it's cool. MSI's dope too, man.
MSI made some good stuff.
I like MSI. They're good. They're good. Good company. Good people too. Good PR. All right, man.
What's up, Brian? I also love how Tony, you accidentally did the Wonder Woman 84 meme when you're comparing this and the Steam Deck. You
mean life is good, but could it be better?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good that's a good analogy, It's good.
That's what you said.
Yeah. What did I say exactly?
Yeah. You said that the Claw is good, but then the Steam Deck is better.
It is.
Nice one, Tony.
Yeah. Again, genius. Me being a genius without realizing it, But it's true. What's up?
I have a question.
Why is it?
This is submitted a buddy of mine in Eurocar 9 related to Eurocar 10.
He's a good guy, man.
He's a good dude. He said he asked me, he's like, yo, ask Tony if there's any video game stuff in CES that he saw that piqued his interest, or was there much of a video game presence at the shows?
I mean, do you consider gaming laptops to be a fucking video game related? It was mostly hardware that I saw. I didn't see what's up?
There was a little Sony event thing, but I mean, for the most part, they just showed off the car, and then they showed off Last of Us, which
I have something I want to talk about. Yeah, I know.
Which you mean that moment, right?
What moment?
Again, Torrance was over at the Sony area, doing some stuff, and then as soon as he got to the Last of Us area, the one of the PR ladies was like, no, you can't film this.
Yeah. By the way, I have to say this. I only had one appointment at the actual convention center. And that was Razor, coincidentally enough, video game. Yes, Eurocar 9, I do have an answer, actually. Really? The most interesting thing, and Brett, I think you want to pay attention to this, right? I had a appointment with NVIDIA, and I got to check out I think it's called NVIDIA Ace. Basically, it's AI and PCs, right? So, we went in there, and they were like, basically, the idea was, how in games NPCs just repeat the same shit over and over and over again. So the whole idea here is, and again, Brett, you've talked about this before. Like, what if you could just ask an NPC anything and a response with anything? So they had a bunch of us there, into a mic, ask the NPC shit, and they would respond. Right? These guys were asking some boring fucking what recipes do you recommend? And they would say something, right? So I go there. I'm like, okay, that girl, because they said there's a chef and a tech girl. I'm like, let me talk to the tech girl. So I ask her, I want to build a PC. What do you recommend? Obviously, I recommended a fucking NVIDIA card. Obviously, right? So, and they're like, can I keep talking to it? Like, yeah, go ahead, talk to it. By the way, I wrote a story about this for Tom's Guy. You go check it out. So then I'm like, okay, what kind of PC do you have? So she goes, I got an RTX 4090 and 32 gigs of RAM. So I'm like, 32 gigs? Why not 64? She gets snippy with me. She's like, 64 gigs is way too much. That's overkill. You do not need more than 32 gigs for a gaming like computer. I'm like, okay, and this was all happening in real time. Very impressive, but at the same time, you're like, yo, you could literally sink hours into this shit, not even play the main story. That's crazy.
So was this done just to clarify keyboard input or
it was with a mic? Like I
it was voice.
It was voice. Yeah, I held down like the
vocal,
T key.
Vocal recognition.
So Brett, that's your dream, right? That's your dream right there, right? Spending hours and hours talking to NPCs.
No, I'm not a fan of like. I know some people play games via like. So I talk to this guy until he starts repeating the same text loop. I find that immersion breaking. Like. I think I would like a game that, like, I don't want to spend hours and hours talking to NPCs. I guess, come think of it, that's what most, like, video games are. So.
But what do you think of
Brett,
that
are you expressing a retraction from your former
statement? Brett, because you were pretty hyped about NPC, like AI NPCs before.
Oh, no, I'm super hyped about it. I just the way you put it, like, you want to spend hours talking to AI NPCs, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend hours talking to any NPC, but then again, I'm like, that's all a Final Fantasy game is, really. Yeah. So I guess I do. I never really thought of it quite like that. But it's super dope. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing, because remember, the AIs, the NPCs. They're still programmed like to be kind of like real people. So one guy, this is funny. So one guy asked the chef, because it was all set in like a cyberpunk cafe. So they asked the chef, what can you tell me about, I forgot the guy's last name, Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA, right? The guy's like, who's Jensen? I don't know who that is. And then that's the tech girl, who's Jensen. And then she gives, it was you could tell it was from Wikipedia. Jensen, blah, 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 it founded NVIDIA, and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, it's cool that they at least the fucking chef guy didn't start going, Jensen had founded NVIDIA, and blah, 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 blah. Like, like he knew, he was like, what the fuck who's that? So like, that's kind of cool,
Am I supposed to know everybody?
Yeah. But the answers they were giving were very obvious AI answers. Like you could tell the AI answers, But I found it interesting. I'm like, yo, that could be a huge fucking time sink, especially for somebody like me. I'm like, because I'm trying to find a completion. There is no completion. It just goes on forever.
Well, the thing is that the thing about the completion is the character itself.
Yeah.
Like, if your character is programmed to be a sort of a tech character, they obviously would know things about tech. But, the wall is, let's say they're not a cook. So ask the tech character cooking questions, and they'll probably be like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So they asked because I think obviously the reason they asked a bunch of cooking questions is because the guy was a chef. But here's one interesting thing, right? One guy, he came up, he's Italian, right? Like, hey, Miss Goes, but red, all that shit. And he was like, and he asked the person, the handler there, is like, hey, can I talk to this guy in Italian? It's like, yeah, go ahead, So the person, he tells the NPC, hey, do you know Italian? And the cook looks at him like, yeah, I know Italian. So he asked him a question in Italian, and the NPC responded in Italian,
Oh.
I'm like, oh shit, that's cool, And it was at the same voice too. It was like the same inflection and all that.
Because that is the thing that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about the SAG pretty much made a deal with an AI company to essentially for actors to be able to opt in or out of that thing. And it sort of caused a bit of an uproar because they said that their people voted on it, but guys like Steve Bloom is like, I didn't get that memo.
It makes you wonder whose voices they use to replicate, with these actors. Mm-hmm. But that was kind of the most cool gamey thing I saw. But real quick, since we got time here. Jay Shep goes, was anyone there saying anything interesting about the game industry from an outsider's POV? No, nobody. It's a tech trade show. Nobody was really talking about it. Oh, by the way, I want to tell you guys the most interesting thing that happened to me at CES. This is funny, man. So we're walking around. It's called Eureka Park, which is where they show like crazy tech shit. I look over my shoulder. I'm like, is that Satya Nadella? Holy shit, it is.
Oh.
So he goes over to this like medical robot. I forgot the name of the robot, but I basically call it real life Gizmo Duck. For you guys who don't know, right? Gizmo Duck from DuckTales, he has like this little wheel, right? He doesn't no legs, just a little wheel. And I always wondered for 30 years, how the fuck does that thing balance, right? So this thing is basically a real version of that, but instead of a wheel, it's a ball, right? So Satya Nadella goes to this fucking AI robot, right? Because everything was AI at CES. Everybody swarms the place, and then because we were gonna pass it, me and my crew, we were gonna pass it. It's like, okay, Satya Nadella is fucking taking an interest in this shit. We gotta do a video on it. So after he left, we go in there and we get the AI robot. But what's interesting is apparently they saw the AI robot 2 nights beforehand, but it wasn't working, So if it wasn't for Satya Nadella, we wouldn't have grabbed that robot. But yeah, look, I'm like, holy shit, is that him? He's just walking around. It's crazy,
There's also, like the thing about it is that those sorts of wheel things exist.
It's not a wheel, it's a ball. It's a ball,
Oh yeah, like the what's that thing? The R4 or whatever the hell that thing is. So
yeah.
From the new Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But like that sort of idea does exist. People do ride those one wheel like things down streets, and they're keeping perfect balance on it.
Yeah, but I've never, like, even with like cosplays, like you always see somebody holding them and stuff because it's hard to balance on that little wheel.
It's not that. It's literally just a wheel that you tilt forward on and it moves.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
That exists.
Yeah. But yeah, and this thing reacts to you. It was like the guy who was covering it, he pushed it and it was like So yeah, CES was dope, man. But yeah, nobody talked about the video game industry. It's 2 different things. Although I don't know if I should. I can say some of this stuff. One thing I noticed, the difference between the game industry and the tech industry. I hate to say this, I'm just going to be real. The people working there are a lot more professional. I'm talking about from everybody, from the journalists all the way to the PR people. Because the gaming, I guess because it's gaming, it's like a little bit more loosey and shit. Like, no, these sort, like I was talking to some fucking big CEOs and shit, but even the journalists themselves, they comport to themselves. Yeah, Otaku Man, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But next year when I go, I definitely want to make sure I have a day for the actual convention center itself, because there was a lot of cool shit that I didn't have time for, because I was busy just going to like different hotels and stuff. But yeah, more professionalism, a lot, not as crazy hype, like, videos like, not a lot of that going on, Yeah, CES was pre-E3. As a matter of fact, E3 broke off from CES, as you well know, Otaku Man, because there were video games at CES back in the day, but video games got so big, like, okay, we need to have our own thing. But yeah, that's how it was.
What's to stop them from doing it again?
I was thinking, is the reverse going to happen now? We're going to start seeing more game stuff at CES.
There's nothing stopping these companies from essentially demonstrating their new tech over there. Like, okay, you got some some new tech that you're working on for gaming. Like
NVIDIA, like NVIDIA's perfect example. Yeah,
like NVIDIA, in other words, you have these things out there. So yeah, I was watching a thing about it, about some of the different things that like places like Sony, right?
Yeah,
they don't put like TVs and stuff out of there, and anywhere they really just put out like showcasey things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, we got this crazy car coming out. We got like all these other things other than, the usual, like, oh, hey, look, this is our new line of TVs. Which, by the way, Sony apparently is going back to mini LCDs again.
Yeah. By the way, I saw this one story about how, like, I think was it Sony? Or somebody else, they were like saying, no, we got to have TVs with 4,000 nits. You got to burn your fucking retinas, man. Like 500 nits is already too much, or 1,000. But pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, CES was dope. I enjoyed it. But Manny, to your point, and again, because there's like crossover between, gaming and laptops and stuff. But every single laptop manufacturer I saw there all had a specific gaming section, you know. But I'm pretty sure that's been standard for a while now, you know. But as far as like games, no, it was really more about the tech. But saw a hip hop gamer there, by the way. You know how that went. Yo, we out here.
Yeah.
We out. That was the saying this year. We out here. We out here.
Well, I mean, you know, the thing about it is that like he's sponsored by NVIDIA, isn't he?
I believe so. Maybe no AMD. I believe because that's where I ran into him at the AMD. It wasn't an AMD press conference. It was like a reception, like a little party and stuff.
He's sort of sponsored by them. Like that's exactly where I saw him at. Like, you know, when I saw him at PAX.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. So because I know he has a Logitech thing sponsorship. I guess AMD too. But you know, it's cool. It was good seeing hip hop and seeing Torrance. And again, I always kind of underestimate that people know me. Like Manny was just like E3, me going down and just fucking Tony, you know. So that was good. Especially at Razor when I went to the booth, like a King's Homecoming, which is interesting. You know, because with Razor, I mostly just gone to like little events with them or like just talk with them virtually. But you know, they all knew me out there. Good stuff. CS is dope. I'm looking forward to. That's already my favorite trade show. Way better than E3. I'm sorry, you know. Even though it's different, it's like with E3, your main concern was trying to get from one hall to the other. This one is like getting from one end of Vegas to the other. Also, I didn't realize how fucking cold Vegas gets. Holy shit, you know. I was when I
desert.
Yeah, but this is during the day too. Like it's fucking brick, you know, because there's no humidity, you know. Mm-hmm. Vegas is dope too, but Vegas is good. So I didn't go to it, but I did see the orb or whatever the fuck it's called, that globe shit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Was it the sphere or the orb? Or
yeah, I think it's a sphere, yeah. Because it's so big, you can't help it's always there, you know? So that was good. And Vegas people, you know, maybe it's because I'm a New Yorker, they're just really, really nice out there, you know?
Vegas people is kind of an oxymoron because if you're in the strip, it's like being in Times Square.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of people from other places and shit, but they're probably happy to be there, you know. Tony out like the hangover too. I didn't really drink too much. Although actually on the last night I did, because I was like, okay, now I'm gonna drink. On the last night I had 2 margaritas and it was one of those deals, Carlos, you drink and I don't feel nothing. You know, and then I went to go to the bathroom, like, oh shit.
You felt it. You broke the seal. You broke the seal.
Yeah, because I had 1 margarita and shit. I was like, nothing happened. Let me get another one, you know, on the company's dime, you know. And then as soon as I moved, like, oh shit. It was good, man. Good drinking with my boss out there, you know. Good times, man. CES. All right, man. That's gonna do it for us. I wanted to say this at the beginning of the show. I'll say it again. You know, obviously, you know, Manny and Carlos, but all you guys, thank you for holding it down while I was gone. I don't anticipate I'll be gone for a while. So again, man, we don't take a break on Throwdown, man. You know, that's why we have a big cast here. You know, we don't want to let you guys down, you know.
We have an honorary member of the Throwdown RBJ.
Yeah, he showed up. Oh yes. Shout out to Richard Bailey Jr.'s, you know. Yeah, good stuff, man. All right, do we have anything to plug?
No, I Am Negan is still on hiatus until next month, so I'll make sure to plug it once it comes back.
Good stuff. And Invincible podcast is still on hiatus until whenever, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, go to Coalition. You know, I'll plug that. Go to Coalition. Torrance posted a bunch of stuff. Go check it out. Torrance is back. The Itch got him. You know, making content. You know, I don't know if this is going to be a short-lived thing, but it's good to see Torrance back, man. Again, you could tell he's very happy now with his life. You know. But yeah, go over to coalition.com, coalition with a K.com. Check out all the cool stuff that Torrance filmed out there at CES, man. And also go to tomsguide.com where I work, and I am now your boy, a senior staff writer, got promoted, you know, which is always very nice. And check out all my stuff there, man. I posted a lot of shit this week. Your boy was busy. Not only did I have fun, but I got busy. You know, a lot of shit. Not only that, also go to our YouTube channel, Tom's Guide over on YouTube. By the way, they changed the banner. I'm on the fucking thing now, you know, which is pretty cool. I don't know where they got that picture from. It's me wearing like a Kojima shirt. But I'm like, where did they get that picture from? But you know, it's cool. I did a lot of videos out there as well. Just getting crazy with these laptops and handhelds and monitors. Checked out a new 57-inch monitor from Acer. Fucking crazy. I'm like, okay, we're doing this now. Because I did check out a 57-inch monitor from Samsung, another Odyssey fucking monitor. I'm like, it's funny because I reviewed a 49-inch monitor from Samsung. I'm like, okay, this is already too much. Then they were like, hold my beer, bro. 57 inches, man. It's basically two 32-inch 4K monitors in one, you know?
But I mean, okay, so theoretically, with that, you could, like, at that point, you could use it as a television.
Kind of.
It being that big.
It's like ultra wide and shit. And it's curved too, you know? Because it's wide, but it's not like, it's wide this way, Manny, but not this way, you know? It's cool. It's cool. All right. Anyway, we're done here. So make sure you follow Twitch. Make sure you follow Throwdown Twitch and Twitters. Join the Discord where the conversations and the rumors are always popping. You can also find us on any podcast app by searching for Throwdown Show. That's 2 words. Throwdown Show. Throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. And if you have been watching us on YouTube and like the video, we're back on YouTube, people. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when we go live. With no premieres now. You know, we just go live, motherfuckers. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Links to everything down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Brett Murdoch.
Deuces.
And Brian Manjoma.
I was informed that a couple of hours ago that my boy Eddie has contracted the disease known as Killmonger.
Oh, yeah, the Eddie Gordo shit. By the way, what's up with that hairstyle? Even the Prince of Persia has it now. You know, the fucking
Everyone
little dreads and
has it.
shit. Yeah. Not only the dreads, Brian, but the shaved head too. You know, like the sides and shit. Like, all right, that's what we're doing. Is that the equivalent of like Asian girl with just a little bit of her dyed hair? Is that the equivalent of that now?
Yeah, that's like it's become like the Asian girl blue hair now.
Yeah.
Or the Nathan Drake.
Yeah, the little clip at the front. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, guys.
It's a popular hairdo now.
Yeah, I guess
now
so.
the Gears of War characters have it. It's
So,
like
somebody realized that black people can do other types of hair other than afros, cornrows, and short dreads.
Brian, did you see
twists.
that? Did you see that one guy calling the Tekken makers racist because they didn't reveal Eddie Gordo during the initial premiere?
Oh yeah, I've seen that. That guy must be very quiet right now.
Yeah, looking really stupid. And they premiered another black character when they revealed the game, didn't they? So it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
They have plenty of black characters.
Yeah,
That's the funny part.
But yeah, it's like, just scream racism. Go ahead. Now you look dumb, bro. You know, there's Eddie Gordo. With his stupid haircut. Not really stupid. It's just played out. It's like Killmonger. We've seen that already.
I mean, you could go back to the old dreads. He used to wear his dreads back. It look good.
Yeah, go back to that, man. They're gonna do that shit to DJ next, aren't they? Oh man! All right, guys, we'll see you on Thursday, man. Your boy's back later.
Deuces.
Peace.
Laters.